In this video, we'll be looking at a new GMRS radio by Retevis. It's the GMRS version of the RA89 called the RA89G. Let's get into it. Retevis has been teasing the new RA89R Ham HT and the RA89G GMRS HT for a couple of months. They recently sent me both those radios to review, and we're going to take a look at the RA89G in this video. I'll link my RA89R review in the description and on the end card to this video. At just under $70, it's at the top end of the budget HT category. It includes some styling changes and both puts and takes from the features found in the older RA89, besides being set up as a GMRS HT. From a style perspective, the RA89G stands a bit taller, has two push-to-talk buttons, and has no flashlight, and its battery is a bit bigger at 2,800 milliamp hours than its older cousin, that RA89. The RA89G adds a USB-C connection to the radio itself, in addition to the USB-C on the battery for charging. It also has the typical K1 connector for radio accessories common on most HTs. Unlike the RA89, the RA89G is not IP67 water protected. It has an IP54 rating, which translates into dust protection and water splash protection, but not submersion. On the inside, there are a couple of handy new features too. First, the radio has expanded Bluetooth capability. This includes smartphone app programming through the Retevis app, as well as connectivity to things like Bluetooth mics and headsets. The RA89G also has airband receive capability. Lots of folks seem to like this feature, so Retevis added it to the RA89G. The last thing I'm going to mention is the weather alert system. While I didn't see basic NOAA weather channel monitoring, the radio will allow you to set weather alerts, so when the NOAA weather channel you select transmits an alert subtone, the RA89G will alert you to the event. Let's change cameras and take a look at what comes in the box and a closer look at the radio itself. So here's the box that the RA89G comes in. It's the usual Retevis box. Let's take a look at what we're going to find inside. Let's start with the owner's manual, and it's pretty typical of the owner's manuals for these small radios. It's got diagrams, how you put the antenna on the belt clip, what the various icons on the screen are, buttons, their labels. Here's some button combo description here for what some of the buttons on the faceplate do. And then there's a long list of the menus, items, and what a brief description of what they are and what the choices are and so forth. They also talk about the various things you can do, the working modes, channel, FM, VFO, that kind of thing, along with some detailed descriptions of what those menus are, several pages of those, and then finish it up with some of the advanced functions, a little bit of what you're going to find in the app and of the CPS that we'll look at separately in just a couple minutes. As we'll see when we look at the radio comes with USB-C charging, so there's USB-C cable here. I think this is a USB-C programming cable as well as charging, since it has this large housing where they can put the chip. Here's a little wall wart that you could plug the A side in to get power, and then there's this desktop charger. So if you like desktop chargers, it comes with one. It has a USB-C on the back, and you can use it that way. It comes with a lanyard and a belt clip. I've got the belt clip on the radio already, so we'll see that in just a second. And then, of course, the antenna. It's a little rubber ducky. It's a little thinner. It's got some flexibility to it. And then you can see here in the bottom, it gives the frequency range of the antenna, and then it's the plug side or the male side for this Retevis radio. So that's the antenna. Now let's do a power off tour of the radio to see what we've got here. We've got the speaker, the branding microphone right here, a pretty large screen. We've got the menu button. They label it F for function, then the AB button. And so these buttons across work the menu. So, function to get in the menu, to select, move up and down with those two buttons here, and then exit menu with AB. And of course, AB will move it from the upper to lower register as well, as you expect with an AB button. You can see the numbers here, and then they have various menu functions available to you. So you can get function in the beep or function and then squelch level and go directly to that menu item without having to cycle through all of the menu items as well. On this side, we've got two push to talks. This one will trigger the upper register, this one the lower. These are programmable with about a half a dozen choices available for these two side keys. Here on the back, we've got the belt clip that I've mounted. It comes with screws. The battery takes up the entire back of the radio, so this is screwed into the battery. Now, there's a couple other things here. As we mentioned, the USB-C. Here we've got the plug-in for the USB-C for charging. There's a little indicator right there, red for charging and green for finished charging. But then on this side, as we move, we can see we've got the rubber flap covering the K1 connector here, which you could use for a wired type of headphone, push-to-talk mic. That's going to be available there. But then down here, there's a USB-C connector, and we'll open that. And this one is, I think, for programming, and that's that programming cable we looked at. I haven't tried it yet, but I suspect if we plugged it in here, it would also charge. But the battery has its own charge protection circuit, and you can plug it directly in to the battery if all you're going to do is charging. And then this USB-C here for accessing programming if you're using a PC. The Retevis website has the download for the CPS for this, although this is Bluetooth programmable through the Retevis app, which many of you are going to find more useful. And so here we're back to the front. If we look at the top now, we can see that we've got an indicator there for transmit and receive. This is the volume switch, and then here is the SMA connector for the antenna, and this side is the female or socket side. So that's a quick power off tour of the radio. Hey, if you're finding this video helpful, please click the thumbs up button below the video and be sure to subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel if you haven't already. There are also join and thanks buttons below for those who might want to support the channel directly. As always, I've got affiliate links to the radio and a couple of other related items in the description below. Now, back to the review. Here's a quick power on tour, including a quick view of the menu system. So to turn the radio on, we're going to turn it on up here. It says welcome, and you get the display. And this display gives us some of those icons that we looked at in the owner's manual. I've got the Bluetooth turned on because I've been dealing with the smartphone app. And then we've got the frequencies here for the channels for GMRS. We've got channel 1 in both of them. If we want to go up to channel 2, we just press the button. I'm going to turn the volume down here. You can set these for the name or the frequency, whatever you prefer, and then the channel is going to be over here. Here's the AB button that moves the big arrow down to the lower register, and that will be the primary push to talk. And so you can see that we're on high power, dual watch. We've got wideband, the Bluetooth is on, and the battery's status is there in the top of the icon. Now, the menus are a little bit different on Retevis radios, and this one is no exception. Press function, and we're in the menu. If we go up,
Scanning begin.
That's the scan. And notice it says the name of many of the menus, not all of them. Some of the long ones, it just says menu, but some of the short ones, it'll tell you what they are.
Function.
So we've got scan,
Scanning begin. Menu.
we got end tail elimination or squelch tail elimination,
Box.
VOX, power, all the things you're used to looking at. And then we want to deal with it. We press menu again, and then we can press these to change. So in this case, I can drive the squelch down to 3 if I'm happy with that. I can press to AB to cancel my change, or if I want to keep the change, I can bring it down to 3, confirm it with the menu, and then I can continue through my various menu settings. So that's the menus here on the radio. Now, I'm going to get out of this by
cancel,
canceling out of that. I'm going to turn the radio volume down again. Now, the little hashtag with the word radio will turn it into channel mode or VFO mode with a short press. So you can see it changed to VFO mode, and it's up here in the UHF frequency. And this will take airband. So if I wanted to put in an airband frequency, I just type it in. So let's see. So 126.0, I think, is in that range. I've got an airport nearby, but so I can put those frequencies in, or I could program them in as memory channels if I wanted to do that, as opposed to just typing them in. And then to go back to memory, another short press. And we're there. So on the side keys, with the top side keys, I've changed them a little bit from where it came out of the box. A short press on the top one isn't doing anything. A long press is changing the power. So you can see it went from high to medium to low. And then on the bottom, short press turns the FM radio on. Another short press turns it off. And then a long press goes into monitor, and you can see the word busy shows up down there, which means it's basically taken all the squelch out so you can listen for a very low volume signal. Now, the radio is about out of battery. You can see that the indicator is down to 1 bar. And so I'll be putting this here on the charger fairly soon. But this is pretty much what we've got. Now, you can turn Bluetooth on in the menus. Let me show you that real quick, because I want to show you all of the things that you can make a change to there. So we're going to go through there. So we've got the Bluetooth menu. We can set the switch, the push-to-talk type. We can do a Bluetooth speaker, the volume, mic gain, hold time. We can pair or pairing devices. It was just really easy to switch to my phone. The Bluetooth switch, this is one you have to turn on, which gives you that little icon BF up there, or BT up there. And so that needs to be on for the Bluetooth to work. And so there's a lot of things that you can do with Bluetooth with this radio, to include Bluetooth mics and Bluetooth headsets. So that's a quick overview of the power on capabilities of the radio. Now, let's put the RA89G on a power meter and see what it outputs. So here's a quick look at the power output on high, medium, and low on the RA89G. I've got it going here into my power meter, and there's a dummy load on the back. So let's take a look at high power on channel 1 in the GMRS range, 3.3. Medium power is 1. And on low, 0.3. So those are our power settings in the lower part. Now let's move up to one of the higher power allowable channels here in the GMRS band. We'll go up to channel 16. So on high power for channel 16, staying the same. We're anticipating it. The limits are higher here, but the power limits on the radio don't change. So that's high. Here's medium. It's a little bit lower than what the previous one was. And here's low, 0.3. So I haven't changed too much. So that's the power output you can expect from your RA89G GMRS handheld. Before we take a look at radio programming, here's a quick audio demo. RA89G audio and receive test. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, test out. Test, RA89G transmit audio test. Test, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, test out. Many of you will find the Bluetooth programming through the Retevis app appealing. Personally, I like setting up the radio on the CPS on the computer first, especially if I'm planning to add a bunch of channels in addition to the pre-programmed GMRS channels. Then I make changes on the app as I need to. Now, before you ask, the RA89G is not supported on Chirp yet. As with most factory CPS programs, it doesn't support importing and exporting channels. That makes programming a bit tedious, but I personally like the CPS for initial programming, even with that drawback. Here's a quick snapshot of both the app and the factory CPS. So here we are in the Retevis app. I've got the RA89G with the Bluetooth on, and so you can see that I've had it here before, and it says it's connected. So I'm going to press the radio, and then I'm going to read data from the radio. It reads pretty fast. There's not much programmed in it. The transmit light flashed on the radio while we were doing that. So now we'll move into, these are the various things we can program in. So basic settings gives us the items in our menus, squelch tone elimination, scan types, all of those kinds of things that are available on the radio's faceplate, but they're just easier to touch here on the phone here, in my opinion. We're going to go back one step, and then we can go into our channels, and we can see if we drop down here, it gives us a channel list, and we can select the channels that we have here in the radio. So GMRS channel number 2, there's the frequencies. These are hard-coded in. And so you can see transmit and receive are the same, so it's a simplex. Here, if you wanted to add CT, CSS, or DCS codes to the simplex channels there in the lower part of the distribution, you can do that. And then you can just slide them through here. You can pick DCS or CT, CSS, and when you do that, the things change. So the DCSs start with the D, and then the CTSs are just numbers beginning at 62.5. So those are the way you program these. I'm going to leave them off right now, and then I'm going to hit cancel. And so there we go with all of these various things. If I want to go back, then I can go back here to channel. Again, touch that down arrow for all the channels. Go up here to channel 24. This is repeater 2. And so you can see there that we've got it set with the offset, and we've got the same things here. And we can slide up, and then you can get the rest of these repeater channels. And then the other channels that are listed here are do-it-yourself channels that you can put in any frequencies that cover the area that the radio will receive. But then you'll only be able to transmit if you have a frequency that's a GMRS frequency. So you could add, a second or third repeater number 1, for example, if you had 2 of those in your area that use different CT, CSS. And so those are the channels. I'm going to go back here, and we can go to the VFO. Normally I don't mess with these too much. It's just where the radio will turn on. It's usually the last one selected, or if you're turning it on for the first time. In this case, it's going to start with the VHF call channel in the ham bands. Then signaling has to do with DTMF settings, and then FM radio. You can add frequencies for the FM radio stations where you live, so that when you move into FM radio mode, you can go up by channel, or you can scan when you turn it on the radio. And then at the end of this, then we can hit save data, and you can see there it says it's going to put a file name on it if you want to do that. So when we're finished with that, then we can go here, and I went back maybe one too far, but we'll add that, and then we can write this data, and that's what we just saved right there. And so we'll write that back to the radio, and you can see that it's writing back to the radio. The radio is receiving. The green light is now flashing on top of the RA89G. And so that's programming it through the Retevis app using Bluetooth. So here's the factory CPS for the RA89G. As we do with all of these, we want to start by going to Device Manager, making sure we know what port we're using. So in this case, the programming cable is port 7. So we're going to go to Settings, COM port, pick port 7, enter. And then up here, we've got the Windows drop-down menus. You can do read and write stuff. We'll just use the icons. So we'll go here. This is to read, so we'll read the radio. It opens up and reads immediately. It succeeded. And so now here we have our channels that are in the radio. And as we go down, we scroll down and we see that we've got the various repeater channels, the GMRS, and in this case they've been given names. So if we select names on the display, we'll get the GMRS channel number with the name, so that's handy. Now if we want to add a channel, we go over here. We can see that it calls up a number. We can put the numbers in for do-it-yourself GMRS channels. Basically, you're going to be using those if you've got a channel that you're already using, but you want to use it with a DCS or CTCSS code. And that can happen in repeaters where there are a lot of repeaters in your area with a number of them on the same channel. So that's where you're going to enter that information here, and then you can just go through, and then as we scroll down here, you can see we can get all the way down to channel 198. If we want to go to VFO, we can go here. This is where it's what's in the VFO. I've done some programming, and so when I was in VFO mode, I put the tower frequency for a local channel, and then I just messed with it a few minutes ago. So instead of 18.4, it's 18.0250. But this is going to be the latest number that you had. And so if you wanted to start with something else, you can tune it here. Basics gives you all of the information that is in the radio menu. You can do that, so you can display mode as frequency. Let's say we want to make it name, so we just do it with a drop-down box. I find that much easier than using the buttons or, frankly, the app to do that. Roger beep is off, the key beep is on. I've got a timeout timer. All of this stuff is here in this. My scan type is time operation. We're going to start scanning on the current channel, and then the various other things that are in the radio's menu are listed here. You can program the side keys. So I've got power select on side key 1, power select short on 1, and let's see, what do we want to do here? Let's do a monitor on a long press on 1, and then side key 2 goes to FM radio with a short press, and on a long press for side key 2, let's make that a scan key, so we can scan on the radio's front number panel, but we can also scan with a long press on side key number 2. So that's how all this stuff works. I'm going to enter that so it saves it. We can go into DTMF signaling, 2-tone and 5-tone signaling, all that's there. Here in the frequency range, it tells you what the range are. So we've got lower range through the VHF frequency, but it's in the receive range. And then here in the transmit range, which are these two, we've got 462 to 468, which is the GMRS frequencies. The radio allows us to program in a bunch of FM broadcast channels as we might want. And then communications nodes. These are caller ID things. It's part of the radio's capabilities that I really don't use, so I don't mess with that. And so that's the snapshot here of the CPS. When we're done, we would save it. We'd save it to a name and put it somewhere on our computer where we know where it is and it can recognize it. If we mess up the programming, it's real easy just to download it into the radio if we've gotten it all messed up. And then over here, then with the changes we've made, we can go ahead and write. And you can see that it's writing across the way. The radio says PC write, and the green light is flashing, and then it says success. So that's a quick look at the CPS for the RA89G. Retevis sells a Bluetooth mic for this radio. It's about $30. I used a mic from another brand that connected to the RA89G in terms of audio, but I couldn't get the PTT function to work. I've had that happen with other brands too, so if you're planning on using a Bluetooth mic, you should probably get the Retevis version. All in all, The Retevis RA89G is a nice little radio. I'd consider it a full-size HT that feels sturdy and comes with a fairly large battery. I've had the radio out in bright sunlight and the screen is easily readable. I've also been pleased with the airband reception. I was able to hear transmissions from a nearby airport quite clearly from my back patio, which isn't always the case with airband-enabled HTs. A big thanks to Retevis for providing the radio for this review. Again, please give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Join me over here for my review of the ham version of this radio. Thanks for watching.